I was seriously considering sending my Canon R5 Mark II back. All this talk of an amazing autofocus system, and I was struggling to focus in the same environments that my original R5 thrived in.
Ah, there he is.
There were times that it focused well, but the results were very inconsistent, and I found myself needing to zoom in to acquire focus and losing focus if I zoomed out too much. Well, it's been a really hectic fall. I haven't had a ton of time to get out and shoot wildlife the way that I would have liked, but I have been shooting a ton of high school sports, and the Canon R5 Mark II just was not performing the way that I really had wanted it to perform. I felt like I was missing a ton of focus, and I actually ended up going back to the original R5, using that pretty much exclusively whenever I was shooting high school sports. It wasn't until recently that I was really able to sit down and figure out what I was doing wrong. I have my Canon R5 Mark II set up so that I can use the multi-function button to go through a limited number of autofocus zones. The ones that I feel that I'm going to be using the most, I have that limited so that I'm not shuffling through all of them whenever I'm out in the field. And that was working really well to have that option. However, it wasn't performing the way that I had hoped. Even whenever I had spot AF selected, it was not staying on that one spot. The focus seemed to be jumping all over the place. And I finally realized why. I had whole area AF tracking servo set to on. And the bad thing about this is it basically was overriding the zones that I was selecting, allowing the camera to pick where in the scene it was going to focus. Now, I can imagine that maybe there are some times where this might work well, but for me with sports, volleyball and football, it was picking areas of the screen that I didn't want to focus on. Players without the ball, players that weren't setting or hitting. And then whenever I moved out into wildlife, in a busy area like this woods that I'm in right now, it was selecting branches and stuff all over the place because maybe the subject, like a whitetail deer, was extremely dark. So by turning that off, now it was limiting exactly the way that I wanted it to, just to the zone that I had selected. And after making that change, the focus became just instant. It was really sticky. So with this new R5 focusing system, make sure your whole area tracking is turned off. And that way, whatever focusing zones you're using, it's only going to focus within those zones, allowing you to really fine tune and pinpoint exactly where the camera focuses. The results after making this change, it's been fun to shoot again. It hasn't been frustrating. There's a buck right up here. He just kind of came out of this swamp area. I've got some foreground in front of him. If I can just get him to stay right there. There's actually another buck. There's a little guy. buck is tending, and the little guy keeps trying to get nearer, and he's not having any of it, the big guy. It's pretty cloudy here this morning, so I've got to keep my shutter pretty low. So I'm just getting these poses when they pick their heads up, gonna look my way. They're moving on here. Oh, there's another buck. I'm gonna get a different position. He's moving his doe back into the woods. I returned to the same spot a week later and found another buck. This time displaying the flame-in response. Super exciting. I just had two bucks kind of in a showdown with each other. And there was a doe here. The bigger boy, definitely, he has the eye of the doe and doesn't like the other buck being around. He chased him off into the field. And the little guy isn't giving up easy. He just came back in